When you reach your 70s, you begin to understand that happiness doesn't come from being surrounded by more people. It comes from keeping the right ones close, the ones who bring peace to your days, not pressure to your heart. By the time you've lived 70 years, you've given so much to family, friends, work, society. You've been the one others counted on. But this chapter of life isn't about giving more. It's about protecting your energy, your calm, and your joy. It's about learning that peace is worth far more than popularity. Some relationships that once seemed harmless may now quietly drain your spirit. They weigh on your thoughts, stir up guilt, or keep you stuck in emotional cycles that no longer serve you. So this stage of life asks for something gentle but powerful, the courage to let go, not with anger, but with love for your peace and your well-being. Let's begin with one of the hardest but most important truths. At this age, nothing affects your happiness and even your health as deeply as the emotional climate you live in. And that's why the first relationship to reconsider is the one you have with the constantly negative person. We all know someone who always finds a cloud in every sky. Maybe it's a friend who complains about everything: the weather, the neighbors, the government, the price of groceries, the way the world is changing. You listen, you nod, you try to comfort them, but by the time you hang up or leave the room, your mood feels heavier. Your shoulders tense. Your spirit dims a little. Negativity is contagious, and when you're 70 or beyond, your emotional state is directly tied to your physical health. Scientific studies have shown that stress hormones rise when we're around constant pessimism, and those chemicals can affect blood pressure, heart health, even the immune system. In other words, negativity doesn't just steal your smile, it can steal your strength. At this point in life, peace of mind isn't just a luxury, it's your medicine. So it's time to ask yourself, who brings you calm, and who constantly stirs anxiety or frustration? Protecting your peace might mean limiting how often you see that person or keeping conversations brief and kind. It doesn't mean you stop caring about them, it simply means you care from a healthy distance. You've earned the right to choose light over heaviness. Surround yourself with people who speak about gratitude, who laugh easily, who can find joy in the smallest things, like the smell of rain or a memory from the past that still makes you smile. Choose company that lifts your mood instead of draining it, because every day you spend feeling joyful adds to your quality of life. It literally adds life to your years. It's not selfish to protect your peace. It's self-respect. You've carried others for so long, now let your energy serve you too. Imagine how much brighter your days can feel when you fill them with voices that bring calm instead of chaos. Now, let's talk about another kind of relationship that slowly wears you down, the one-sided relationship. You probably know this one too well. It's that person who only calls when they need something. They need advice, money, company, a ride, or simply someone to listen to their endless problems. But when you need a hand, they're suddenly too busy. And yet, because you've known them for years, you keep showing up, hoping one day they'll do the same for you. But time alone doesn't make a relationship meaningful. What makes it meaningful is mutual effort, the give and take, the feeling that you matter, too. At 70, every ounce of energy you give should be an investment, not a loss. You deserve relationships that leave you feeling appreciated, not used. When you constantly give without receiving anything back, not even gratitude, something inside you begins to fade. You might not notice it at first, but little by little, you feel emotionally tired after every interaction. You start dreading the next phone call, even though you wouldn't admit it. That's the quiet fatigue of emotional imbalance. So maybe it's time to step back a little. You don't have to make a big announcement or cut ties dramatically. Simply reduce how much you give. Offer less of your time, your emotional labor, your worry. Let the distance happen naturally. You'll be surprised. Sometimes when you stop overextending, people either step up or drift away. Either outcome brings peace. And during that space you create, fill it with those who see you, who call just to check in, who ask how you're doing and mean it, who share laughter and not just problems. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. 2 genuine friends who care are worth more than 20 who only take. If there's someone who leaves you feeling smaller after every conversation, maybe it's time to loosen that tie, gently and lovingly. Your worth isn't measured by how much you give to others. It's reflected in how deeply you honor yourself. Now we come to a more painful truth, one that many older adults face quietly: the manipulative family member. This one cuts deep because it often hides behind the word love. Family is supposed to care, but sometimes certain family members learn to control through guilt or emotional pressure. You might hear things like, "You never call me anymore," or, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" These words sound emotional, but they're meant to make you feel responsible for someone else's happiness. At first, you might give in to keep the peace. You make the call, you attend the gathering you don't enjoy, you do the favor you didn't want to do, and afterwards, you feel drained or resentful. That's not love. That's manipulation disguised as affection. Love, in its pure form, makes you feel warm and safe. Manipulation makes you feel trapped and guilty. There's a difference, and recognizing it is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself at this stage of life. When you were younger, you may have tolerated these dynamics out of obligation or fear of conflict. But at 70, your time and energy are sacred. You've earned the right to say no without guilt. Setting boundaries is not a form of rejection, it's a declaration of self-worth. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are gates that allow in peace and keep out stress. Imagine a peaceful garden. You decide who walks through its gate. Some people bring light, laughter, and calm conversation. Let them in. Others bring guilt, judgment, or criticism. You can still love them, but maybe it's best if they admire the garden from afar. Sometimes, the manipulation comes so subtly that you hardly notice it. Maybe a child or sibling makes you feel bad for not helping enough. Maybe a relative reminds you constantly of how much they've done for you, making you feel indebted. But real love doesn't keep score. It doesn't remind you of past sacrifices. It just loves freely. Learning to recognize emotional manipulation and setting gentle limits doesn't mean you stop caring for your family. It means you start caring for yourself too. That balance, between compassion and self-protection, is the foundation of peaceful aging. And when you start saying no, from a place of self-respect, you'll notice something shift inside. The guilt begins to fade. The resentment softens. You breathe easier. You sleep better. Because your spirit finally understands, you are allowed to protect your peace, even from those you love most. We often think we have to keep giving endlessly to prove we're kind, loyal, or good. But true kindness includes yourself. You don't owe anyone constant access to your energy. You've given enough over the years. Now it's time to give peace to yourself. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't recognizing manipulation. It's accepting that even people we love can drain us. You might have spent years trying to please everyone, thinking that love means sacrifice, that family always comes first no matter what. But there's a quiet truth that arrives with age. Love without boundaries turns into exhaustion. And at 70, exhaustion costs too much. Your time, your peace, your physical health, even your joy, they're too precious to keep trading for someone else's comfort. So when guilt begins to whisper that you're being selfish for saying no, remind yourself, protecting your peace is not selfish, it's survival. You can still be kind without being controlled. You can still love them, but love them from a healthy distance. Send your warmth, your prayers, your goodwill, but don't let their moods or demands dictate your happiness. You have spent decades nurturing others, children, partners, siblings, friends. Now it's your turn to nurture yourself. To choose the conversations that leave you smiling. To spend your mornings with calm rather than anxiety. To spend your afternoons doing what brings you quiet satisfaction, whether it's gardening, reading, walking, or simply sitting in silence with a cup of tea and your thoughts. That is peace, and you've earned it. And once you start living this way, you realize that real love grows stronger, not weaker, when it's free of guilt and control. Relationships become lighter, more genuine. The people who truly care for you won't disappear when you stop overgiving. They'll respect your boundaries, maybe even learn from your example. Because at the end of the day, peace has a way of teaching others how to love better too. Now, there's another kind of connection that might once have felt entertaining but, as the years go by, starts to feel more like noise than nourishment. The gossip group. We all know it. The small circle of people who always have something to say about everyone else. Who did what? Who looks different? Who's having problems in their family? Who failed? Who succeeded? When we were younger, maybe in our 30s or 40s, these chats felt lighthearted, a way to connect or pass the time. But after 70, gossip isn't connection anymore. It's clutter. It fills the mind with comparison, with judgment, with unnecessary drama. And it leaves little space for the things that truly matter: meaningful conversations, laughter that heals, stories that warm the heart. Gossip, in truth, doesn't bring people closer. It only creates an illusion of closeness built on someone else's pain. And at this stage in life, peace matters more than being in the know. When you sit with people who gossip, you can feel it, that subtle tension, that curiosity that isn't kind, that energy that drains rather than uplifts. You might laugh politely or nod along, but when you leave, something inside feels unsettled. That's your soul telling you it needs gentler company. So the next time the gossip begins, try to steer the conversation towards something uplifting. A memory, a piece of wisdom, a shared joke, even gratitude for small joys. If they keep returning to gossip, it's perfectly fine to excuse yourself kindly. It's not rude. It's respect, for yourself and for your peace. You deserve conversations that leave you lighter, not heavier. Think about how you feel when you talk to someone who shares stories of love, family moments, lessons from life, or hopes for the future. You walk away smiling. That's the kind of energy to seek. When you fill your time with meaningful exchanges, your heart stays open, your mind stays clear, and your days feel richer. Gossip fades into the background when your life is full of purpose. Now, the last relationship you must release may not be with a person at all. It's the relationship with the past. And this might be the hardest one to let go of. Because the past is powerful. It holds our happiest memories, yes, but also our deepest regrets. You may find yourself thinking, I should have saved more money. I wish I had been kinder to someone. I wish I had taken better care of my health. If only I had forgiven my brother, or traveled more, or followed that dream. Those thoughts can become heavy. They sit in the mind quietly, taking up space that should belong to peace. But here's the truth. The past is not a prison. It's a teacher. Every mistake, every missed chance, every painful memory, they've already done their work. They've shaped you into the person you are today. And that person is wiser, softer, stronger. Letting go of the past doesn't mean erasing it. It means accepting it with grace. It means saying, yes, that happened. I learned. I grew. And now I'm ready to live lighter. When you make peace with your past, you free yourself to enjoy the present. And the present is all any of us truly have. At 70 and beyond, there is still so much to live for, laughter to share, stories to tell, love to give, sunsets to watch. The world doesn't stop offering beauty just because the calendar has turned many pages. But to see that beauty clearly, you have to set down the emotional baggage that clouds your view. Regret, guilt, and old wounds steal your joy one thought at a time. Today, you can choose to let them go. Think of your life like a bookshelf. Each chapter has taught you something. Some pages were bright and joyful, others were filled with pain or confusion, but every single one brought you here. You don't need to keep rereading the painful chapters. They've served their purpose. Close the book on regret and open a new one written in peace, forgiveness, and gratitude. And as you do, remember this: forgiving the past doesn't mean you approve of everything that happened. It means you're no longer letting it define you. You deserve to wake up in the morning without the weight of old sorrows pressing on your chest. You deserve laughter that comes easily and nights that end with quiet gratitude instead of, what if? When you finally let go of the past, something beautiful happens. You become fully present. You start noticing the little things again. The warmth of sunlight on your hands, the sound of a familiar song, the kindness in someone's eyes. You realize that peace isn't something you find out there somewhere. It's something you create inside yourself once you stop allowing chaos, from people, from guilt, from the past, to live in your heart rent-free. So, as we close this reflection, let's breathe deeply for a moment and think about what peace really means now. It means mornings where you feel calm, not hurried. It means afternoons spent doing what brings you quiet happiness. It means evenings where you feel thankful rather than tired. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what isn't yours anymore. It means choosing joy over obligation, serenity over guilt, clarity over confusion. When you release the weight of one-sided relationships, negative influences, manipulation, gossip, and the pain of the past, you make room for something lighter, for calm mornings, gentle laughter, peaceful nights. Think of how freeing it will feel when the only people around you are those who respect your peace. When your phone rings and you smile because it's someone whose voice brings comfort, not stress. When you sit with friends who talk about life with gratitude, not complaints. When you realize that your memories bring warmth, not regret. This isn't about shutting people out. It's about opening your life to balance and harmony. It's about honoring yourself after a lifetime of giving. You've carried others for decades. Now it's time to carry yourself with the same kindness, the same compassion. You've been the source of comfort for so many. Now, you deserve that comfort too. Letting go is not an act of cruelty. It's an act of maturity, a declaration that your peace matters. The relationships that remain after this kind of gentle pruning will be the truest ones. Relationships that give as much as they take, that heal instead of hurt, that make your days brighter, not heavier. So, ask yourself quietly tonight, who in your life adds peace and who quietly takes it away? What memories bring calm, and which ones still steal your joy? The answers may surprise you, but they'll guide you. And every time you choose peace, you choose life. In the end, peace isn't about having everything perfect. It's about having fewer things that disturb your heart. It's about laughter that feels honest, company that feels light, and love that feels free. You don't have to chase happiness anymore. You simply have to stop holding on to what blocks it. So, take a deep breath. Let go gently. You've earned the calm you've always given to others. Now it's your turn to live in it, fully, gratefully, and peacefully.